For 10,000 years, the Dyson cradle slept. It hung in the darkness like a broken crown, a hollow sphere of megastructures orbiting a faded white dwarf, its surfaces scarred from forgotten wars, its inner rings dead and silent. For ages, travelers passed it at a distance, whispering old myths, stories of the species rumored to have crafted it. Humanity, the ghosts who once burned their constellations into the night. But no one had entered the cradle in 100 generations. Until tonight. In the command deck of the Vor Dominion Sentinel frigate Karzul, alarms detonated like thunder across the hollow displays. Crimson spirals of data danced around the bridge crew as their sensors struggled to parse what they were seeing. Triangulation complete, hissed a scale-armored technician. Origin, the dead sphere. The captain's crest flared a sickly green. Impossible. That megastructure has been inert for. And then he felt it. A vibration. A harmonic tremor that rattled bone and steel alike. Every vessel in the sector felt it. Scouts, smugglers, freight carriers, each jolted by a resonance that seemed to come from space itself. Pilots clutched their heads as whispers threaded through their comms, voices speaking in languages no translator recognized. A pulse. Not a signal. A wake-up call. The frequency is ancient, muttered the technician. Predates all Dominion archives. The captain narrowed his eyes. Open a channel to High Inquisitor Vorik. Light blazed through the cold chambers buried deep inside the Dyson cradle. Metal petals, 10 meters thick, peeled away from a circular dais, releasing geysers of frost that burst into glittering clouds. Tubes retracted. Monoliths of obsidian machinery hummed. Glyphs flickered on long-dead consoles like fireflies being born. At the center, suspended in a transparent cryoshell, floated a woman. Commander Lyra Hale. Terran Expeditionary Corps. Age, 33 at the moment she entered stasis. Age now, 10,033. Her heartbeat returned with a single metallic thump. Eyes shot open, silver blue, sharp, unfocused. She inhaled a long, fragile breath, and the cradle's sensors instantly reconfigured around her. Stasis End Protocol 01 initiated. The voice was synthetic, calm, clinical, unmistakably human. Lyra tried to move, but her limbs felt like stone. Memories flickered, a battlefield of burning stars, a last transmission, a desperate order. If humanity is to survive, someone must remain to wake when the galaxy is quiet. Her hand twitched. The shell dissolver activated, draining shimmering fluid away, lowering her gently onto the metallic platform. She collapsed to one knee, coughing hard. Then she froze. Because the air wasn't stale or dead. Something had disturbed the environment recently. The cradle had not awakened by accident. Someone had triggered it. High Inquisitor Vorik towered over the hollow emitter as the Karzul's captain knelt. The pulse is identical to the legends, the Inquisitor growled, mandibles grinding. And the legends speak of a species that nearly consumed the galaxy in its wars. The captain hesitated. With respect, Inquisitor, humanity is myth. Vorik's eyes burned with cold amusement. So were the Starsworn. The Old Makers. The Shroud Eaters. Myths become history when the dead rise. He leaned forward. Seal the sector. No transmissions leave. And you, take your ship into the megastructure. If anything within still lives, purge it. The hollow died. The captain swallowed. Prepare boarding teams. Lyra staggered across the awakening chamber, grabbing onto a rail for balance. Her muscles burned, but her mind sharpened by the second. Her body was adapting, ancient biotech woven into her cells kicking back online. Consoles flickered on around her, projecting holograms of systems she had trained with in another lifetime. Systems restoration, 12%, 18%, 23%. She focused on a red icon pulsing near the center of the interface. External breach detected. Vessels inbound. Unknown designation. Lyra stared at the ship silhouette. Sleek. Predatory. Not human. Of course, she muttered. We sleep for 10,000 years, and the first thing the galaxy does is send a kill squad. A strange sound echoed through the chamber, the heavy clank of docking clamps from somewhere deep in the sphere. More systems lit up. Threat level, high. Recommended action, terminate hostiles. Lyra exhaled, rolling her shoulders, feeling strength return in waves. Her instincts sharpened like knives. Not yet, she whispered. First I need answers. She moved toward the armory alcove that opened from the wall, revealing racks of weapons, sleek, black, angular designs preserved by time. She reached for a pulse spear. Her fingerprints activated the weapon with a soft thrum, its energy coils glowing blue. Better, she said. The Vor boarding team advanced through a scorched entry corridor, lights flashing red as the megastructure awakened around them. Spread out, ordered their commander. Find the pulse source. The lights overhead flickered again. 2 troopers froze. Did you hear that? One hissed. A soft whisper. A hum. Like something breathing behind the walls. Then a voice, the cradle itself, echoed through the corridor. Unauthorized life forms detected. The Vor commander snarled. Find the AI core. Shut it down. They advanced. They did not get far. A figure stepped from the shadows, pale skin shimmering in the harsh light, silver-blue eyes reflecting cold intelligence, muscles tensed like coiled steel, a spear of blue fire humming in her hands. Commander Lyra Hale spoke first. You shouldn't have come here. The Vor commander raised his weapon. Identity yourself. Lyra tilted her head, studying the alien design of his armor, the unfamiliar insignia. Then she smiled faintly. I'm human. The Vor froze. Not in fear, yet, but in disbelief. Impossible. Your kind is. Lyra moved. The spear flashed once. The commander's weapon clattered to the floor. Lyra stood over the stunned warriors, her voice steady, cold, utterly calm. You woke me. So now you get to deliver a message. The surviving troops trembled. What message? One choked. Lyra stepped closer, eyes burning with the light of a forgotten empire. Tell your Dominion this. Humanity doesn't stay dead. It waits. She turned, vanishing into the labyrinth as alarms screamed across the cradle. Behind her, the galaxy's first encounter with a human in 10,000 years left only a single question. The Dyson cradle trembled as ancient engines groaned to life beneath its kilometers of interlocking plates. Dust cascaded from ceilings that hadn't known movement in 10 millennia. Hidden turbines rotated, pumping fresh air into corridors once sealed by the ages. You could almost imagine the cradle exhaling. And in a way it was. Commander Lyra Hale moved through the megastructure's inner arteries, every step stirring memories she couldn't fully grasp. The walls, a dark alloy shot through with faint blue veins, reacted to her presence, glowing slightly where her fingertips brushed. The cradle remembered her even if she didn't remember it. Primary functions restoring. 42%. 48%. The AI's calm voice followed her like a ghost. Good. Lyra's breath fogged in the cool air as she moved. I'll need everything. Warning, hostile incursion ongoing. Estimated 32 life forms. Their weapons are primitive. Lyra stopped. Primitive. From a human superintelligence, that was not a casual word. She angled her spear, adjusting the grip as she approached a lift chamber. When she stepped inside, the platform scanned her, then descended smoothly into the cradle's central levels. She hadn't yet asked the obvious question. Why did humanity build a stasis structure capable of sleeping an entire species for 10,000 years? Because if she ever remembered the answer, she feared the galaxy would tremble far more than it did today. Far above her, on the outer shell of the megastructure, the Vor Dominion frigate Karzul maintained orbit with tension running through every hull plate. Inquisitor Vorok's holographic form towered in the center of the bridge, its mandibles flaring in anticipation. Report, he hissed. The captain knelt. Boarding team is reporting casualties. They claim to have encountered a humanoid female. Vorik leaned closer. And she identified herself as human. For a moment, just a moment, the Inquisitor was silent. Legends flickered in his mind. Stories of the old Terra Wars, of fleets burning entire star clusters, of creatures who fought not for domination but survival, and in doing so nearly ended everything. "Captain," Vorik growled, "kill this impostor and bring me her skull." The captain bowed. "At once." But Vorik's voice had hardened. "And if she is not an impostor, destroy the cradle." Lyra's lift descended into a vast central chamber, a cathedral of polished metal, rising and falling in curved levels like frozen tidal waves. At the heart stood a colossal sphere suspended in gravity fields, the memory core, the place where humanity stored its final histories before sleep. As she approached it, holograms crackled to life around her, images projected from the core's outer shell. Human fleets burning across unknown stars. Giant silhouettes locked in war. A swarm of shadowy, tendril-like things devouring a moon. Lyra's pulse quickened. What was this? She reached toward one flickering hologram. The moment her hand neared it, the cradle spoke again. Memory Core 01, unlocked. The sphere split into segments, opening like a metallic flower. A single object lifted from its center. Crystalline baton, glowing gold. Lyra felt her breath catch. "I know this," she whispered. "I've seen it before. Command artifact. Soul baton. Authorization. Commander Lyra Hale." The artifact floated into her hands. Power pulsed through her veins, stirring memories she had long lost. Dark skies. Explosions. A voice screaming, "Lyra, seal the species. Put them to sleep. That thing is coming." She fell to one knee, gasping as the memory cracked through her skull like lightning. That thing. What thing? What enemy had been worth putting humanity to sleep for 10,000 years? The Vor boarding teams moved in coordinated formations now, their earlier shock replaced with determination. Their tracking units pinged the central chamber. "She's moving to the core," the commander growled. "All units converge and—" His sentence died in his throat as the chamber lights shifted. A deep hum filled the corridors. Not mechanical, alive. Almost like a heartbeat. The cradle's heartbeat. One trooper stepped back. "What is happening?" The commander didn't answer. He couldn't, because the walls around them were moving. Panels slid aside, revealing dormant drones, sleek, winged constructs shaped like predatory birds. Their eyes blazed blue as they scanned the Vor invaders. "Automated guardians," the commander whispered. The drones replied in a tone colder than space. "Intrusion detected. Purification protocol initiated." Before the Vor could fire, the drones unleashed lances of white-hot light. The corridors lit with screams. Lyra heard the distant echoes, muffled, faint, but unmistakable. "Combat." She closed her fingers around the soul baton, feeling its hum synchronize with her pulse. "AI," she said, "show me what woke the cradle." "Unknown external signal," the AI responded. "Origin, extragalactic space." Lyra stiffened. Extragalactic. That meant, not from this galaxy. Maybe not from this universe. The baton flashed, projecting a map of the local region. A faint point of light blinked at the outer edge. Signal detected. Nature hostile. Lyra's throat tightened. "They're coming back," she whispered. "After 10,000 years, they've found us again. That was why humanity slept. That was why the cradle existed. Humanity had not retreated. Humanity had been waiting. Waiting for the return of the thing they couldn't defeat." Her hand trembled. Not in fear. In clarity. If she had woken, it meant the enemy was close. The doors behind her exploded inward. Vor troopers swarmed in, weapons raised, their commander stepping forward with a snarl. "Drop your weapon, human." Lyra stood tall, baton in one hand, spear in the other. "No." The Vor commander's mandibles spread, a gesture of mock sympathy. "You are ancient. Alone. Outnumbered. The galaxy has moved on without you. Lyra exhaled slowly. Then the galaxy should have let me keep sleeping. She pressed the soul baton to the floor. The chamber ignited. Holographic banners of the long-lost Terran ascendancy blazed across the ceiling. The Cradle's AI-activated combat protocols humanity had not used in millennia. Terran Commander authenticated. Awakening subsystems. Lyra raised her spear. You want the truth? She said softly. Humanity didn't go extinct. Her eyes hardened, silver-blue flames burning from within. We just paused. Then she charged. The Vor's first volley hit a shimmering shield that erupted from the baton, the same tech humans once used to walk unharmed through artillery fire. Lyra slammed into their formation like a storm. Spear arcs, energy flares, shockwaves that cracked the floor. The Vor commander stumbled back, horrified. What are you? Lyra stepped toward him, blood and light dripping from her spear. I'm the first human you've seen in 10,000 years. She leaned closer, voice a razor whisper. And I'm the weakest one. Outside, the Cradle's engines roared, awakening systems that slept since the fall of the old empire. And somewhere far beyond the galaxy's edge, something heard the pulse. For centuries, the Vor Dominion believed humanity was just a story, an echo, a warning tale whispered to hatchlings to keep them obedient. A myth of fire and ruin, nothing more. That belief died in the central chamber of the Dyson Cradle. The last Vor trooper collapsed beneath Lyra's spear, armor smoking from a plasma strike. The chamber fell still except for the pulsing hum of the soul baton and the distant thunder of the Cradle's engines waking deeper levels. Lyra Hale inhaled slowly, letting her senses settle. She wasn't fully recovered yet. Her muscles still carried the stiffness of long stasis. Her lungs still worked harder than they should. Her reflexes were fast, but she knew, deep in her bones, they could be faster. She was still only operating at a fraction of what pre-sleep humans could do. That fact disturbed her. And thrilled her. The soul baton flickered, projecting a faint holographic silhouette, a figure in a Terran military uniform. The emblem on the chest was one Lyra recognized only through instinct and half-remembered training. Terran Ascendancy High Command. The figure bowed its head. Commander Hale. Emergency protocols demand briefings. Lyra wiped a streak of green Vor blood from her cheek. Start with the basics. Why did I wake? The hologram blurred, then refocused into a star map. A single blinking dot pulsed at the galaxy's fringe. 10 millennia ago, we detected a hostile civilization preparing to cross the intergalactic void. Lyra's jaw tightened. The thing in my memories. Correct. We engaged. We survived. Barely. The map zoomed out, showing red zones spreading across once human sectors. Battles collapsed into data artifacts. We could not defeat them. We could only delay them. Humanity initiated the Great Sleep to avoid extinction and awaken when the threat returned. Lyra looked at the blinking dot again. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Which means they're close. Yes, Commander. A pause. They have reached the edge of the local group. She felt the floor tilt beneath her. Not from motion. From destiny slamming into place. 10 millennia of sleep, all for this. Far above, the Vor frigate Karzel shook as more internal explosions echoed from the cradle beneath them. The captain trembled before Inquisitor Vorak's hologram. Boarding teams report total losses, Inquisitor. They encountered resistance. Vorak's mandibles twitched. Define resistance. The captain swallowed. A human. She's slaughtered. Vorak cut him off with a lash of his voice. Stop. Say that word again. Human, Inquisitor. The bridge crew froze. The Vor Dominion had always feared the return of certain ancient powers. But humans? They were believed extinct long before the Dominion had even risen. That was the comforting lie. The truth was worse. The Dominion's founders had risen only after humanity vanished. Vorak stared through the hologram, as if he could already see the cradle burning. Captain. If this is truly a human, Your ship will not be enough. He paused. It may not matter. Call the Armada. The captain hesitated. Inquisitor, summoning the Armada to an unclaimed sector violates. Do it! Vorik roared. The bridge erupted into movement. The Inquisitor leaned forward, voice dropping to a terrifying whisper. We cannot allow a human empire to rise again. Deep within the Dyson cradle, Lyra approached the core's far wall as new systems flickered online. The cradle lit the path for her, doors unlocking, data streams cascading, support drones dropping from ceiling racks like obedient hawk. Subsystem activation at 72%. The AI's voice was almost warm now. A support drone hovered beside her, scanning her biological state. Commander, your physical performance is limited due to remaining stasis degradation. Lyra smirked. And what's the projected baseline once the restoration protocols finish? The drone whirred for a moment. Approximately 218% above your pre-stasis peak. Lyra blinked. So I'll be stronger than I used to be? Significantly. She let out a low whistle. Oh, the galaxy is not ready for this. A panel next to her opened, revealing a sleek, armored suit, angular black plating with glowing blue veins matching the cradle's aesthetic. TAC Exoshell Mk11. She reached out, touching the armor. Images surged into her mind, herself wearing it, running through collapsing cities, fighting things with too many limbs and eyes that burned like dying suns. Instead of fear, a calm filled her. A purpose. She stepped into the suit. The armor sealed around her with a smooth hiss, hugging her form like a second skin. Her HUD lit up with tactical overlays, atmospheric readouts, and energy monitoring. And something else. A warning. Hostile fleet detected. Vor Dominion warp signatures. Multiple. Lyra clenched her fists. So the invaders had called reinforcements. AI, she said quietly, connect me to an external feed. The walls shifted, revealing a panoramic projection of space beyond the cradle. Lyra stared. 4 Vor warships had arrived, wings spread, weapons hot. More signatures flickered on long-range sensors. Dozens, maybe hundreds. A full Dominion strike armada was coming. Lyra felt her pulse slow. Her instincts sharpened. This wasn't fear. It was readiness. The kind that had been bred, engineered, and trained into humanity long before her birth. She clicked the spear to her hip and lifted the soul baton. Then we don't wait, she said quietly. We greet them. The AI hummed approvingly. Shall I activate cradle defensive systems? Yes, Lyra said. All of them. The Dyson cradle answered. Entire plates of the megastructure rotated. Dormant rail towers rose like ancient gods waking. Planet cracker energy conduits hummed with light. Vast armor sheets slid into defensive position. The Vor vessels halted in space as the structure transformed before their eyes. One Vor officer whispered faintly, "It's alive." No one on the bridge corrected him. Because it was. The human megastructure had awakened, and it recognized the Vor as an immediate threat. Weapons arrays locked on. Lyra stepped into the command lift. Take me to the outer halo, she ordered. I want to see their faces when they realize what they've awakened. As the lift ascended, alarms echoed throughout the Dominion ships. They finally understood. The myth of humanity had just walked out of legend and into their crosshairs. And the galaxy, for the first time in 10,000 years, remembered what it felt like to tremble. The outer halo of the Dyson cradle was not built for aesthetic. It was built for war. Lyra Hale stepped onto the colossal circular walkway overlooking the armor-plated horizon of the megastructure. Her exoshell boots clanked quietly on the black alloy floor, each step illuminated by faint blue lines that pulsed in sync with the cradle's awakening heartbeat. Above her stretched the open void of space, nebula light glinting off the awakening structure's vast plates. Below her, kilometer-long engines vibrated like waking beasts. In front of her floated the holographic projection of the incoming Vor fleet. More ships were arriving. Destroyers. Carriers. A dreadnought whose prow alone was longer than a city block. Lyra's expression didn't change. She simply whispered, "Wake defensive Grid 4." The AI responded instantly. Grid 4 activating. Slabs of metal peeled back like petals around the outer halo. A ring of crystalline barrels emerged, rotating into alignment. The Vor fleet accelerated as if sensing the shift. Inside the bridge of the Karzul, panic spread like contagion. "Inquisitor Vorik, the structure is powering weapons," a navigator shouted. The holographic Vorik appeared in towering scale, his mandibles twitching with barely contained fear. Not anger, fear. "Show me," he growled. The projection zoomed in on the cradle's halo. The crystalline barrels flickered to life, each one gathering more energy than a Dominion Star Dreadnought could output in 10 minutes. "Ancestors," someone whispered. Vorik hissed sharply. "Fire everything. Bring the cradle down before." The cradle fired first. Silence engulfed the bridge a millisecond before the beam struck. Then light, blinding, pure, white-blue, erupted from the halo like a circular sunrise. The beams were silent, but the shockwaves weren't. The Karzul's hull screamed as energy tore through space, shredding shields as if they were dust. One Dominion destroyer collapsed in on itself like a crushed can. Another disintegrated entirely. The bridge lights flickered. Consoles exploded. 2 officers were thrown across the room. "Status!" Vorik roared. "3 destroyers gone. We've lost. Gods, Inquisitor, we've lost half the forward line." "Retreat!" someone from weapons yelled. "No!" Vorik slammed a fist against the control dais. "Hold position. Humanity cannot be allowed to." He froze. Because something new was happening on the cradle. A shape was emerging from the outer halo. Lyra stepped forward as the deck beneath her vibrated. The armor plates directly in front of her split apart and rose, revealing a gargantuan cradle lift. It ascended, bringing with it a sleek, obsidian craft, the smallest class of ship humanity had ever fielded. The Astrius-class Interceptor. A fighter built not for space combat but high-velocity planetary breach operations. Its hull shimmered with adaptive armor plating. Its thrusters hummed at a pitch only ancient human tech could produce. Lyra ran a hand across the sleek body as it locked into launch position. The canopy slid open. Her HUD synced automatically. Her heart synced with it. Calm. Focused. Ready. She climbed in. As the cockpit sealed around her, the Cradle AI spoke. "Commander, note. Despite stasis degradation, your neural compatibility with Astrius systems remains optimal." "That's good," Lyra murmured, tightening her harness. "Because this galaxy needs a demonstration." "A demonstration of what?" Lyra smiled faintly. "What humanity used to do." She pushed her hands onto the twin control arcs. The interceptor hummed, its engines glowing. The halo parted. Launch granted. The fighter hurled into the void like a comet. The Vor fleet watched in silence as the single human craft accelerated, faster than logic, faster than mathematics should have permitted. "What is that thing?" the captain choked. Vorik narrowed his eyes. "A relic. Nothing more." Then Lyra vanished from sensors. "What, where?" The tactical officer screamed. "She's behind us." A single blue streak shot through the formation like a blade through silk. A carrier's engines detonated, sending flaming fragments spiraling. "How did she?" the captain stammered. She phase shifted. Vorik whispered, terror creeping into his voice. "Human slip-velocity maneuvers. Legends said they could cut through fleets as if carving bone." The Astrius streaked past the dreadnought, leaving a glowing afterimage. Inside the cockpit, Lyra breathed with the rhythm of the engines. Every movement was intuitive. Every calculation instant. The fighter obeyed her like it was alive. She pushed a control arc. The Astrius flipped vertically and dropped between 2 destroyers. Their combined fire tried to track her. They failed. She didn't even fire a main cannon. She simply flew. And the Vor were already losing. The ship's AI calculated orbital trajectories in the background and spoke calmly. Commander, hostile fleet morale appears to be collapsing. Lyra's voice remained level. Good. Let them collapse. Back aboard the Karzul, Chaos. Our lines are broken. We can't track her. She isn't using Dominion physics. It's not possible. Vorik silenced them with a roar. Order the dreadnought to target the interceptor. But Inquisitor, the dreadnought's cannons could hit our own fleet. We will sacrifice as many vessels as necessary, Vorik snarled. Humanity cannot rise again. The dreadnought's colossal cannons rotated, locking onto Lyra's trajectory. Energy built. The air inside the bridge trembled. Lyra's voice echoed through Dominion comms, hacked, clear, and cold. Vor Dominion vessel. You have awakened one human. Her fighter streaked toward the dreadnought. There are billions more. The dreadnought fired. A beam large enough to carve continents surged forward. Just as Lyra flicked the Astrius into a slip-arc maneuver. The beam missed. Lyra didn't. She fired a single shot. One. A pinpoint of condensed gravitational force punched straight through the dreadnought's frontal armor. The Vor dreadnought split along its spine, drifting apart in two burning halves. Inside the Karzul, silence fell. Not awe. Not anger. A cold, ancestral fear older than their empire. Vorik's voice cracked as he whispered. We woke a monster. Lyra's fighter slid to a stop near the cradle and docked. She emerged, armor steaming, pulse steady. Above her, burning Dominion wreckage drifted like dead leaves. Her comm pinged with an alert from the AI. Commander, a new signal has been detected. Lyra halted mid-step. Not Vor. Not any galactic faction. The signal pulsed at a frequency she recognized only from fractured memory. A whisper from outside the galaxy. Incoming from the extragalactic void. Lyra's blood ran cold. She looked at the star map. The hostile dot at the edge of the universe had moved. Closer. Much closer. She exhaled, voice barely above a whisper. They're early. And for the first time since waking, Lyra felt something she hadn't felt even during battle. A tremor of dread. Humanity had slept to survive the coming storm. And the storm was already here. The stars dimmed. Not by natural shadow, not by cosmic drift, but by intention. Every Vor ship, every independent listening post, every neutral mercenary flotilla across the Orion expanse saw it simultaneously. A soft, impossible eclipse spreading from the Dyson cradle like a slow, deliberate heartbeat. Commander Lyra Hale stood at the edge of the Terran command chamber, feeling the pulse thrum through the metal under her boots. A memory, one she had not chosen, rose like a tide. A voice. Not hers. Older. Fiercer. If humanity falls, it must rise not for vengeance, but for the warning. Lyra exhaled, the words spilling out before she could stop them. The beacon is fully awake. Dr. Salen jerked back from the console. The thing we triggered earlier? That was only the initialization phase. Lyra nodded. The core sphere at the center of the chamber lifted itself gently from its cradle, blue-white light spilling from geometric seams that hadn't existed moments ago. Runes, Terran runes, spun along its surface. Not just ancient. Pre-fall, pre-sleep, pre-everything anyone remembered. Salen whispered, Commander, what is it telling us? Lyra didn't answer. Because it wasn't speaking in words. It was singing. A low resonance. A human resonance. The harmonics of a billion voices layered together. A human choir speaking across time. She could feel the memories slotting into place like puzzle pieces. And she finally understood. The galaxy was never meant to fear humans. It was meant to fear what would come after them. A klaxon blared through the Terran interface as new signals appeared around the system boundary. Vor dreadnoughts, hundreds of them, dropping from warp like falling blades. The largest armada they had ever assembled for a single target. Salen stared at the flashes of red on the hologlobe. They want to erase us from history before we're fully awake. Lyra touched a hand to her chest, feeling not the beat of her heart, but the echo of the beacon's pulse inside her. No, she said softly. They're already too late. The sphere brightened, and the stars went silent. The return of the Soul Archives. Across the command chamber, old Terran systems burst online, ones even Lyra didn't recognize. Pristine holograms projected themselves above the consoles. A voice boomed through the chamber. Prime protocol engaged. Salen fell to his knees. That's primordial Terran code. Architect level. How is it still? Lyra whispered, because we weren't sleeping alone. The beacon chimed. Galactic status. Hostile. Terran status. Initiated. Reason for stasis. External extragalactic threat. ETA of hostile arrival. 49 galactic years. Salen's breath hitched. There's something coming to the galaxy, something humanity fought before? Lyra didn't reply. Because she wasn't sure fought was the right word. Maybe the galaxy had never understood humans. Maybe they had never been conquerors, or savages, or freak anomalies. Maybe they had been something else entirely. Guards. The voice of Commander Lyra Hale. Her memories locked into place like steel doors sealing shut. Her eyes glowed faintly with the light of the beacon. She turned to Salen. It wasn't a war, Lyra said slowly. It wasn't conquest. Humanity built the cradle to survive what was coming. To wake when the galaxy would no longer remember how to defend itself. Salen swallowed. And the Vor? The rest of the species? They're not the target. They're in the way, Lyra said. But they're not the enemy. As if on cue, the beacon responded. Archive priority. Defense of galactic life. Salen blinked. Wait, we slept so we could protect them? Lyra nodded. We were never the monsters in their myths, she said softly. We were the reason the monsters never reached them. The Vor arrived. The dreadnoughts formed a massive crescent around the Dyson cradle, weapons charged, gravity lances humming in lethal harmony. A transmission blared through the system. Unidentified human entity, you are ordered to surrender. The Dominion will not allow a human emergence. Lyra stepped onto the projection dais, her image broadcasting back to the Vor fleet. This is Commander Lyra Hale of the Terran Ascendancy. Her voice cut through space like a blade through silk. Humanity has returned. Silence. Then. You are a myth. A threat. An extinction-class event. The galaxy will not bow to you. Lyra's eyes glinted. You misunderstand. Humanity didn't wake to rule. She raised her hand. The beacon pulsed. We woke to save you. The first song. The sphere flared white. Then the Dyson cradle, massive, dead for 10,000 years, sang. A deep, harmonic pulse rippled through the solar system. Vor dreadnoughts shuddered. Their shields flickered. Pilots screamed as neural links overloaded. This wasn't an attack. This was a warning. A human voice, millions of years old, echoed across the stars. To all who hear, the veil has thinned. The outer dark approaches. The galaxy is not ready. Salen whispered, What is the outer dark? Lyra closed her eyes. I think we're about to find out. Humanity awakens. The Dyson cradle split open into massive petals, each 1 kilometer thick. Inside, the inner vaults revealed themselves, rows upon rows of human stasis chambers. Millions. No, billions. Sleeping soldiers, scientists, diplomats, engineers, dreamers. A species reborn in a single breath. The Vor panicked. This is a hostile act. We will fire. Lyra stepped forward, her voice ice. You will not survive. You threaten us? No, Lyra said. I am warning you. The beacon flared again. The human shield returns. Far beyond the Dyson cradle, dormant Terran war structures awakened. Solar forges spinning to life. Sentinel ribbons unraveling across planetary orbit. Graviton lances charging with impossible energy. Protector-class dreadnoughts, ghost ships, lighting up one by one. Every Vor officer watched in terror. Every neutral species froze. Every warlord's breath caught. For 10,000 years, they had feared what humans would do if they ever returned. And they had underestimated the truth. Humanity wasn't rising in anger, or fury, or vengeance. Humanity was rising because the galaxy needed protection. Protection only they could provide. The truce that should not exist. Lyra Hale opened a final channel to the Vor fleet. Stand down. Humanity does not seek war with you. But if you interfere. The sentinel ribbons glowed, gigantic arcs of coiled plasma. You will not survive the first second. Silence. Then, the unthinkable. The Vor dreadnoughts powered down their weapons. A single message returned. What comes from the outer dark? Lyra looked out at the stars, stars that seemed just a little too dim, a little too hungry. We don't know what it's called, she said. But we remember how it feels. And it's coming. The final memory. The beacon dimmed, releasing its last encrypted image into Lyra's mind. A shadow, as wide as a galaxy, as cold as a dead universe. A presence that consumed entire civilizations without leaving debris. Salen saw her expression. What did it show you? Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. The reason humanity slept. She stared into the dark, ancient fear returning to her bones. We didn't hide from the galaxy. She turned her gaze to the stars beyond the Dyson cradle. We hid the galaxy from it.